Shall we start with the national anthem before we start the shareholders meeting?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we start the meeting proper, here are some house rules and voting procedures for today's annual stockholders meeting. Number one, stockholders who registered under the voting in absentia and shareholder system or who signified by email that they will be participating by remote communication may email questions or comments at investorrelations@lrwc.com.ph. Number two, for proper order, the moderator will read out pre-submitted questions during the Q&A session scheduled at the end of the meeting. Questions that were not taken up during the meeting may be directed to our IR email at investorrelations@lrwc.com.ph. Due to technical restrictions, questions sent through Zoom chat during this meeting won't be entertained. Number three, the voting results and proposed resolutions will be shown for each agenda item. Number four, votes received through proxy as of 12 p.m. July 2022 and votes cast directly through email as of 12 p.m. July 28, 2022 will be shown for each relevant agenda item. Number five, the final results of the votes cast will be reflected in the minutes of this meeting, which will be posted on the company's website tomorrow, July 30, 2022. Number six, the proceedings of this meeting will be recorded. Mr. Chairman, we may now proceed to the meeting properly.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Due to the still existing global pandemic amidst our community, and for the health and safety of our stockholders, directors, officers, and other stakeholders of the company will conduct for the second time its annual stockholders meeting online via video conferencing. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. It is now just past 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and as chairman of this meeting, I hereby call the meeting to order. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce to you the board members present here today. Number one, Mr. Andy Chu Kim Min. 2, Willie O'Shear. 3, Rafael Jasper Vicencio. 4, Winston Chan. 5, Lawrence P. Cobanquian. 6, Paulo Martin O. Bautista. 7, Renato G. Nunez. 8, Max Aaron Wong. 9, Mardomeo Raimundo Jr., and myself, Eusebio H. Tanco. Also, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Sisig Gores Velayo and Company, or SGV, auditing firm headed by Ms. Gail A. Macapinla, our compliance officer, Attorney Christine Margaret de los Reyes, and our corporate secretary, Attorney Carol Padilla. For the orderly and efficient conduct of the meeting, any further questions in connection to any matters to be discussed herein that were not sent to our email prior to this meeting will be entertained after the meeting is adjourned. In order for us to properly address your questions, please send the same to email at investorrelations@lrwc.com.ph. And our investor relations team will get back to you regarding your question. May I now call our corporate secretary, Attorney Carol Padilla, to certify to the sending out of the notices for this annual stockholders meeting, and if a quorum exists to conduct this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. I certify that the notice and agenda for the 2022 annual meeting of the stockholders was disclosed in the Philippine Stock Exchange's EDGE submission system and uploaded in the company's website on June 9, 2022. The notice and agenda for the meeting were also published in newspapers of general circulation, specifically in Business World and Business Mirror, both in print and online, on June 23 and June 24, 2022. The notice and agenda were further sent to stockholders by mail and messengerial services to all shareholders as of record date at their respective addresses of record. The notices were sent out at least 21 days prior to the annual stockholders meeting in accordance with the requirements of the revised Corporation Code and the applicable SEC regulations at the time. Through the notice, the stockholders were informed that due to the community quarantine still in effect in Luzon, the company will not be conducting a physical annual stockholders meeting, and instead, the 2022 annual stockholders meeting will be streamed live. The stockholders have also been notified that they can cast their votes remotely, through proxy, or in absentia by sending their votes via email to investorrelations@lrwc.com.ph on or before 12 p.m. on July 28, 2022. For the stockholders who cannot attend the meeting, they were given until July 22, 2022 to submit their respective proxies. In view of the community quarantine, the company waived the submission of hard copies of their proxies and other supporting documents. Votes cast through proxies and received via email as of 12 p.m. on July 28, 2022 will be flashed on the screen for each agenda. The final tabulation of votes will be reflected in the minutes of the 2022 ASM. Mr. Chairman, I certify that we have a quorum to conduct this meeting. As of 12 p.m. of July 28, 2022, 42 stockholders are participating remotely or in absentia, and 13 stockholders are represented in proxy for a total of 1,906,293,948 shares. These have all been registered for today's ASM. These shares constitute 78%, or more than 2/3, of the 2,444,106,666 outstanding shares of the company entitled to vote. These amounts have been verified and confirmed by the representatives of STSI, our stock and transfer agent, who are present with us today.
Thank you, Madam Corporate Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed to the first item of business in the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of the stockholders held on July 30, 2021, a copy of which is included in the information package, which was earlier distributed to every stockholder of record. A copy of the minutes is also uploaded in the company website. Madam Secretary, do we have the proposed resolution on this item and voting result?
Mr. Chairman, the adoption of the resolution is on the screen. We are proposing for the approval of the 2021 minutes. On the votes cast, 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of the resolution. The resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thus, the motion is carried. Let us now proceed to the next item in the agenda. The next item in the agenda, which is the management report. May I call on the company's president, Mr. Andy Chu Kim Min, to deliver the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dear valued shareholders, while the start of the year has been society returning to normal after 2 years of COVID-19 impacting our lives, we are today witness some major transformation in our economy, society, and our way of living. Closing off 2021, the company shows some steady improvement over 2020. Despite prolonged pandemic impact to the economy, the numbers need to tough comparative from the previous year, but with an overall improvement by 16% in 2021 EBITDA loss compared to 2020. For the full year of 2021, Leisure and Resorts World Corporation, LRWC, posts consolidated net loss of 828 million pesos, an improvement of 36.2% from 1.3 billion pesos in 2020, which is attributable to the savings from the decrease in operating expenses and the declines of income. As we slowly and steadily emerge from the pandemic that has slowed us down these past couple of years, short-term headwind persists, but the long-term optimism remains. I would like to give you a quick overview of the 2021 financial highlights. Retail group consolidated gross revenue contributions decreased by 17% year-on-year to 2 billion pesos from the previous year of 2.4 billion pesos. Retail accounts for the largest shares of the total income of LRWC's business units, because it remained operating under limited number of sites and expected with lower visitations of paying customers due to some restrictions. The yen results took a hit due to the same factors that adversely impact our economy. AB Leisure exponent name, ABLE, posted a gross revenue of 1.9 billion pesos, 16% lower than 2020 records of 2.3 billion pesos. Total Game Zone Extreme Incorporated, TGXI's gross revenue contribution was also down by 37%, registering 79 million pesos in 2021 versus 125 million pesos in 2020. Casino Group's consolidated gross revenue contribution is 205 million pesos, or 41% lower than the same period of the previous year to 345 million pesos. Blue Chip Gaming Leisure and Corporation, BCGLC or Blue Chips, narrowed its losses from 63.3% to 12%, posting gross revenue contribution of 205 million pesos in 2021 as compared to 233 million pesos records in 2020. LRWC's shares in Hotel Enterprise Philippines Inc., HEPI, net income grew by 31% to 136 million pesos compared to last year's of 103 million pesos. Hosting and network growth consolidated revenue contribution amounts to 559 million peso, a decrease of 31% for the same period of prior years. First Cagayan Leisure and Resort Corporations, FC LRWC, posted gross revenue contributions of 293 million pesos, a decrease of 17% from 352 million pesos of the same period last year. First Cagayan Converged Data Center Inc., FCCDCI's gross revenue contribution is down by 42% to 214 million pesos versus prior years of 369 million pesos. LR Data Center Solution Inc., LRWC's gross revenue decreased to 53 million pesos, or 38% reduction from 1 year ago of 86 million pesos. Property Group is on a steady growth with consolidated gross revenue contributions of 46 million pesos, 61% increase from 28 million pesos recorded in 2020. While AB Leisure Global Inc., ABLGI's gross revenue contributions in 2021 slightly dropped by 2.6% at 8.3 million pesos. LR Land, on the other hand, jumped to 88% gross revenue, or 38 million pesos, against 2020 of 20 million pesos. We embarked on our transformation journey even before the pandemic broke out. Now we have total shift our gear on a full exploration into online space with clear ambitions for the future. In the near future, we are hoping to reverse our headwinds into tailwinds until the efforts of the COVID normalization begins to tail off. At the start of 2022, when we launched Bingo Plus, it was very satisfying that we have bravely started one major milestone during one of the most difficult times in the history. We expect this hurdle to gradually ease over the year once all the projects we have lined up to take full effect, starting our major partnerships with the Philippine Basketball Association, PBA Season 47, and with the implementation of various marketing efforts such as the launch of Celebrity Endorser, Brand Ambassador, and rolling out of events like Bingo Plus Day, Charity Work, among others. We are also very happy to observe that at the first half of the year since its launch, Bingo Plus has quickly gained popularity among the players and become a community favorite. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on a strategic investment in both our online platform and other products, as well as strengthening our brand presence through different channels towards the end of the year. We are even more excited to give our patrons a whole new level of gaming experience online and on sites. We have a very promising future ahead of us, and I have great confidence in the direction we're taking through our long-term focus, days in and days out. We're happy and thankful to be continued to operate through our strong leadership by the board, exceptional commitment by the management team, and hard work of all our employees. To conclude, we are thankful for all our shareholders' support and share the mission to create long-term value for all our stakeholders today and beyond. With your continued support, we shall stay on top of our game. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. It seems that we have bottomed out in 2021, and we're looking to have very, very bright future for the year 2022 and forward. The next item of the business is the approval of the annual report and the audited financial statements for the fiscal year 2021, copy of which were duly disclosed and circulated to the stockholders. Madam Secretary, do we have the proposed resolution on this item and voting result?
Mr. Chairman, the adoption of the resolution is on the screen. We are proposing the approval of the annual report and the audited financial statements for the fiscal year 2021. On the votes cast, 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of the resolution. The resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thus, the motion is carried. Let us now proceed to the next item in the agenda. We shall now proceed with the next item on the agenda, which is the ratification of all acts and proceedings of the Board of Directors and Management since the last annual meeting, including but not limited to the following: approval of the conversion notice for warrant. 2, appointment of Mr. Andy Chu King Min as replacement director and committee member to take the place instead of Mr. Alfredo Abelardo B. Benitez, who resigned on October 4, 2021, as well as the appointment of Andy as president of the company. Approval of change of bank signatories. Update of SSS, HDMF, and PhilHealth signatories. Authority to renew business permit for the fiscal year 2022. All material information and transactions were duly disclosed to the stockholders and the public. Madam Secretary, do we have the proposed resolution on this item and voting results?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution for the stockholders to ratify all acts of the Board of Directors and Officers since the last annual meeting held on July 30, 2021 is flashed on the screen. On the voting results, Mr. Chairman, 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of the resolution. The resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thus, the motion is carried. The next matter is the amendment of Article 6 of the company's Articles of Incorporation. The board recommends for the approval of the stockholders the amendment of Article 6 to reduce the number of directors from 11 to 9. The reduction of the number of directors is meant to streamline and make the board more manageable, and at the same time to give priority to the expertise of the directors that is relevant to the company's industry. This will make the board more efficient and nimble, as the decision-making process will be quicker and more effective. Madam Secretary, do we have the proposed resolution on this item and voting results?
Mr. Chairman, the adoption of the resolution is on the screen. We are proposing the approval of the above amendment of the 6th article of the company's Articles of Incorporation. On the votes cast, 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of the resolution. This complies with the legal requirement of at least 2/3 vote from the outstanding capital stock of the company. The resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thus, the motion is carried. Let us now proceed to the next item. The next matter is the amendment of Articles 3 and 4 of the bylaws. The board recommends for the approval of the stock shareholder, the deletion of Article 3(8) of the bylaws, which pertains to the amount of per diem to be received by the director for each meeting. The proposed deletion is to ensure that the per diem of the directors will always be up to date, as the board may consider to be just and reasonable, without the need for periodic amendment to the bylaws. Madam Secretary, do we have the proposed resolution on this item and voting results?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the adoption of the resolution is on the screen. We are proposing the deletion of the said Article 3, Section 8 of the bylaws. On the votes cast, 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of the resolution. This complies with the legal requirement of at least 2/3 vote from the outstanding capital stock of the company. The resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thus, the motion is carried. The next is the amendment of the pertinent provisions of Article 4 of the bylaws. The board recommends for the approval of the stockholders the amendment of the following sections of Article 4 of the bylaws to update the role and function of the company's officers. 1. Section 1. Identifying the officers to be chairman, the president, who is the chief executive officer, and chief operating officer, the treasurer, the secretary, and the assistant secretary. 2. Identifying the powers and duties of the chairman. Section 3. Identifying the powers and duties of the president and chief executive officer. Section 4. Removing the current provision on the vice president and replacing it with a chief operating officer. Section 5. Deleting the current provision on the assistant vice president. Section 8, updating the role of the treasurer. And Section 10, deleting the current provision on the general manager. The specific wordings of the amendment was also provided in the information package sent to the stockholders. Madam Secretary, do we have the proposed resolution on this item and voting results?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the adoption of the resolution is flashed on the screen. We are proposing the approval of the above amendments to the relevant sections of Article 4 of the bylaws. On the votes cast, 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of the resolution. This complies with the legal requirement of at least 2/3 vote from the outstanding capital stock of the company. The resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thus, the motion is carried. Let us now proceed to the next item in the agenda. Let us now move to the election of the members of the Board of Directors for the ensuing year 2022 to 2023. The chairman of the nomination committee, Mr. Willie O'Shea, will announce the nomination.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Based on the determination by the nomination committee, the following nominees for directors and independent directors were found to possess all the qualifications and none of the disqualifications of a director and independent director Before we open the table for nominations, we wish to inform you that out of the 11 directors to be nominated and elected to the board seats of the corporations, we are required by law to nominate and elect at least 2 independent directors. The nominees to the seats for independent directors have been pre-qualified by the nomination committee in accordance with the requirements and procedure set forth under Rule 38 of the Securities Regulations Code. Also, in accordance with the said procedure, no nominations to the independent director seats will be entertained during the meeting for the election of directors, and only the nominees in the list of nomination committee shall comprise the final list of nominees to the said seats. At this point, may I present the final list of nominees to the independent director seats as submitted to the board by the nomination committee. Mr. Winston Chan and Attorney Timoteo P. Aquino. The nominees to the board are as follows. Number 1, Eusebio H. Tanco. Number 2, Andy Choi Kin Ming. Number 3, Paulo Martin O. Bautista. Number 4, Renato G. Nunez. Number 5, Rafael Jasper S. Vicencio. Number 6, Mardomeo Raimundo Jr. And number 7, yours truly, Willie N. Osier.
Thank you, Mr. Osier. Madam Secretary, may we have the result of the election?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the ensuing year, based on the tally of votes as confirmed by our stock transfer agent, STSI, the independent party tasked to count and validate the votes of today's meeting, the 9 nominees enumerated by the chairman of the nomination committee and also listed in the definitive information statement are declared duly elected directors. The percentage of votes garnered by each director based on the number of shares represented in this meeting are shown on the screen. 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of all 9 nominees.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I hereby declare the 9 nominees as duly elected directors of the ensuing. The next matter in the agenda is the appointment of our external auditors. May I ask Mr. Paulo Martin Bautista, a member of the audit committee, to make the recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Chairman of Audit Committee, I would like to report that the Audit Committee recommended to the Board the appointment of a new external auditor, Isla Lipana and Company, the Philippine member firm of PwC Global Network, as LRWC's external auditor for the ensuing year. The change in external auditor is due to cost efficiency and other business reasons.
Thank you, Mr. Bautista. I will now ask the corporate secretary to present the proposed resolution on the item and the voting result.
Mr. Chairman, the adoption of the resolution flashed on the screen is being proposed relative to the appointment of the external auditor. And the voting results, Mr. Chairman, 100% of the shares represented in this meeting voted in favor of the resolution. The resolution is approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thus, the motion is carried. Ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to start answering the questions that were submitted on time prior to this meeting. May I call on Ms. Christine Gabrieles from our Investor Relations Department to read out the questions, and our President, Mr. Andy Chu, to supply the corresponding answers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, valued stockholders and other stakeholders of our company. I'm Christine Gabrieles, the head of Investor Relations Department. And I will now read the questions sent to us through email before this meeting. So for question number 1, we have, what is the management's plan for the whole company?
Thank you, Christine. LRWC aims not to be a bingo or gaming provider, but a world-class one-stop hub for a variety of entertainments. The company will not stop to explore on new products and possibilities. LRWC holds subsidiaries which specialize in different leisure fields. We not only have the bingo parlors and casinos, we also have property investment and hosting services. All this will build us to become an industry icon.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have question number 2. How is the performance of Bingo Plus since it was launched?
Bingo Plus was only launched in January this year. Just about half years from the initial kickoff, it has changed the way people play bingo. Bingo Plus create a unique online social platform for the players where new and live interactions are just like the game still being played face-to-face on the table, but with the convenience of time and venue of the player's choice. Additionally, it had changed many people's lives through numerous prizes, and it had awards. Bingo Plus has awarded a total of 19 jackpot players with over 126 million pesos. Being fun and awarding, these two most essential factors of a game. Bingo Plus quickly gained loyal customer base across the country. We can see a very promising future in it. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Mr. President. So that concludes our question and answer portion. And as the chairman has mentioned before, we will reply directly to all other stockholders who sent questions via email. May I now turn over the screen back to the chairman.
Thank you, Christine. As mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, please email any questions you may have in connection to any matter discussed in this meeting to investorsrelations@lrwc.com.ph, and our investor relations team will get back to you regarding this. If there are no more matters to be taken up, this meeting is adjourned. Again, on behalf of the Board of Directors and the management of Leisure and Resort World Corporation, we express our gratitude to all those who participated in today's meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your continued support, and we hope to see each other again in next year's stockholders meeting. Thank you, and good afternoon.